back to the channel, everyone. So if you're looking to buy an E9X M3 in 2025, if you're considering it, or it's a car you've had your eye on for a while, my goal in this video is just to try to share some insights into my personal opinion owning one, and been looking in the market for one for a couple years now, and I've had a lot of cars, and you know, I'll have more cars in the future. So, but right now with the current just market as far as cars in general goes, and the BMW market, I want to try to share some insights into why I think it is a good time to buy an E9X M3. So it goes without saying, but buying any used car, or even a new car for that matter, but especially used cars, you want to look at the market. What are the pricing of these cars that you're looking at? In this case, an E9X M3, what are they going for? And here at the end of 2024, going into 2025, they're kind of all over the place, man. Like if you're actively looking for one of these, which you probably are, or somewhat interested if you're watching this video, you're probably like me and you look at, you know, Facebook Marketplace or Cars and Bids, or, you know, whatever the sites that are out there. And these things can go from like 15 grand to like 50 grand. Like I've seen some that are like $50,000 or $52,000 for an E92 M3 in 2024. Which is crazy, you know. And I mean, if it has low miles and it's in good condition, maybe, but some of these are just like your average, you know, medium to high mileage cars that don't have, you know, all the fixings of what it would be, in my opinion, to command that kind of a pricing. But $25,000, $30,000 is kind of maybe the median of what it's looking like right now. If you're paying cash for a car, that obviously has a little bit more buying power if you're trying to work with an individual. If you're financing, you know, obviously it goes without saying, and this is not a financial channel by any means, but, you know, look at the current state of the market as far as interest rates. You know, here at the end of 2024, they're still kind of high, especially for used cars. You know, used cars, interest rates are always going to be higher than new cars, more or less. So most of the time, used car interest rates are always higher than new cars. You know, it's just how it is. So pay attention to that. Are they coming down? Is it going to go up? If you look at a lot of different cars over the years that have raised in value, usually if it's a generational car like an M3 or like a GTR or a 911 Porsche, they're gonna, some of the older ones are gonna kind of get cemented in time as the best or one of the best, and then those values, they hit a floor and they don't go down any farther than that, and sometimes they go up. So I'm not saying this particular model will do that, but I do think that it being a naturally aspirated V8, only one ever made, more than likely they'll never make another one again with today's, you know, hybrid vehicles and electrics and stuff like that. So it is a special car. It's also the S65 in this car was like the only bespoke engine. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong on this, but I think it was the only bespoke engine that was in a particular model that they ever did. You know, the S65 wasn't in the X3 and the M5 and, you know, a 440 like it is today with the B58, which is a great engine, but they do it in a lot of in a lot of cars and a lot of models. So this car is special in that matter. And a lot of the ones you find today are just beat down, or they've just been beat up. And, you know, if you're like me and you want to fix it up and keep it looking nice, like it's going to get harder and harder to find those cars that are in really good condition. And with interest rates coming down, you know, we're 4 years after COVID and the whole pandemic, and a lot of these factors come into that. You know, you're 4 years after that, and you know, there are a lot of factors that come into the market. You look at what the Fed's doing with interest rates. So just be mindful of that. You know, will these cars start getting snagged up if interest rates come down? So, but the flip side to that is, you know, I love this car. Obviously, I'm never selling this car. You guys know I'm building this into a monster street build. We'll do some track use, obviously, but it's going to be a monster street build, and I like everything to work as perfect as possible. OEM plus. That's why, what are we, 8 months now into this build, and a couple more big maintenance items to do, and we had done some mods along the way, but this car is going to be running in tip-top shape, as best as possible. Every time I have a chance to change a nut, a bolt, change a control arm or a panel, I do it. And you guys have seen along the way a lot of things that's been done. But the point is, if you're looking to buy a car like this and it's like your first car, or you're looking to buy one because maybe you can't afford a G80 at like almost $100,000 today, or even an F80, which prices have dropped, but they probably still $50,000, $60,000 for a lower mileage one, somewhat in that range. So if you are thinking, hey, you know, 2 generations back, the E92 M3, E90 M3, I'll get that, I'll have an M3, it'll be my first car, or somewhat of a first car, I wouldn't recommend that. That's my opinion. If you can find one that's pristine condition or you have the money, go for it. But the reason I say that is not because I don't think it's a good car, because obviously I think it's a phenomenal platform, but they need work and they're high performance vehicles, and at this point they're older, right? The newest one is 2013, so that's going to be 11, 12 years old now. They need work. They're not, you know, like a Toyota or a Honda that are just designed to just run forever. If you get one that has problems, you can drive it. Like I mean, you can drive it around, but it's going to make a problem or an unknown problem worse. So to have these cars in tip-top shape, you got to go through things, and a lot of that is preventative. You know, you don't change something on these cars when it's falling off. You change it when it is known to have an issue, and you change it before that. So my point is if you're looking to have a car like this, and you're like, hey, here's my payment, here's the interest rate, and here's how much gas might be based on the current market, and that's what you can afford, you might be doing yourself a disjustice by getting a car like this and then having an issue, or not having it perform right, or driving it too long when it has an issue. I don't think it's the right call. In my opinion, to get a car like this, you really need to have, you know, money set aside on top of your purchase price to get this car, you know, back to where it needs to be. And if you just have that set that you're going to buy the car and just drive it like you stole it as soon as you buy it, you're going to run into problems down the road. And I'm not saying that they're unreliable, because people say that. I don't think that's fair to blanket something. That's like saying all Toyotas are reliable forever. Things happen. It's based on situational bias. So who you bought it from, like how was it taken care of? Where was it stored? Was it in salt and snow? Was it in Florida most of the time? Was it tracked? Was it garage kept? You know, I say it all the time, high mileage cars that have been driven have different problems than low mileage cars that haven't been driven. So everything has its own problems. So you got to look and see how the car was maintained. And if you maintain it the right way, these cars will take care of you. They're not just going to fall apart. They'll treat you well if you treat them well. And but if you have a little bit more money set aside and you're mechanically inclined, you do a lot of the work like I enjoy to do, then yeah, I think it's a good buy. But again, if you're just trying to buy it, just say you have an M3, I don't think this is the one for you. I don't think that's the right call. But I think if you're in a position where you're looking to buy a car, 2025 is coming up, you have the funds, and you have, maybe it's not your only car, maybe it's a project or weekend car, and you want to have something that's a little more special you can keep a long time, I think that this platform is one that I think will maintain special value for a while going forward. And I think it is totally worth that if you're in a position to do that. And on top of that, if you're buying this maybe to flip it or something like that, or that's what you do, again, I think for these cars to be where they need to be, it's going to take, you know, a decent amount of money, and not like a few hundred, like a few thousand minimum, and probably definitely more, to get a car like this to where it needs to be. And at that point, you put that much money into it, if you're a car guy, you're going to keep it. Like that's a lot of money that you put into that. You're going to want to hang on to it, at least for me. You know, it's just one of those cars that are special. And I think in 2025, my opinion, I think we're going to see these cars start to get snagged up a little bit more. At least the medium to low mileage ones that are in really good condition, I think we're going to see those start to disappear and drop into hands for a number of years. And that's why I think this is a time, if you're thinking about it, you can afford it, you're able to do it, you're on the fence. I personally love this car. If you guys follow the build, you know that, you know, about 8 months now, earlier this year, March, April was when I got this car. And, you know, it's been an absolute blast, from engine mods to big maintenance to small maintenance to, you know, we've done interior trim stuff, like, you know, engine struts, trunk struts, like small stuff like that, you know, replacement items here and there, but to get the car where it needs to be, you know, like when I first got this car, if you guys follow and remember, you know, we had the engine mounts and all fluids done. I mean, rubber gaskets were leaking, and there's a lot of things that were just, come on, guy. You know, we have these sidewalks for a reason, that people can bicycle on, and they still just want to bicycle right in the street, which I'm okay with you biking. Like, I'm all for it. I like biking myself, but it's the no awareness of I'm going 10 miles an hour. You know, it's just a little frustrating. But yeah, like this car, it's taken a bit to get it to where I've got it now on top of the purchase price of what I bought it from. So I think these cars have the potential to be collectible status, possibly somewhat, and you know, down the road. So if you're able to get your hands on one now, I think you'll be in a good position down the road to have something special on your hands. And something else, another viewpoint would be, you know, it's 2 generations back. Whenever a car comes out, especially BMW, if you guys follow the BMW space, you know that it's, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's controversial, or I don't know, I don't like it, it'll grow on me. Like, it's just the same old story with every model that comes out, right? And then all of a sudden they love it. It's the best thing ever. And you know, a year later, 2 years later. And then as soon as a new model comes out, the previous one's old news. Like, it's the old one, this one's better, all the comparisons, this and that, prices drop a little bit. And then this magic thing happens to where 2 generations back, all of a sudden that one becomes, that's the good one. When before it was not the good one, it was the new controversial one. So we're kind of in that phase now where the E9X is 2 generations back. The G80's been out for 3 or 4 years now. So these cars are now becoming in the spotlight of, oh, that's when BMW was peak, all these things. So for that matter as well, these cars are starting to get snagged up. And you'll see the G80s as controversial, of course, as they have been. And I have one and I absolutely love it. You know, 2 generations from now, this will be the, you know, they'll say the G80 was the best one of recent years, whatever. So it's just how it is. But yeah, I just think you need to be aware of the fact that these cars take a little more money and resources and effort to bring them back to where they need to be. They're performance vehicles, high performance vehicles that are built for the street. And those parts are more expensive. They require a little more love to get them where they need to be. And they wear down. And when you're gonna drive a car like this and it's expected to be driven harder, and you've got worn out bushings and old bearings and all these types of things. If I didn't have this car and I was still looking to buy one, I would pull the trigger now on one. I think it's worth it. These cars are worth it. They're incredible platforms altogether, man. The chassis, the engine, everything about them is awesome. But I think now, if you're looking to do it, I mean, again, this isn't a financial advice channel or a tell you what to do channel. This is sharing my thoughts of my own research that I've done the past year or so, and I think now, and my experience with cars in general for years, I think now is possibly a good time to do it. I think you'll see prices climb because demand will go up, so prices will go up, supply will drop, the old story, right? So that being said, this car has been a blast. A lot more on the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Please let me know your guys' opinions on the current market on these cars. If you're looking to buy one, I'd love to know. Like, subscribe, comment. It means a lot for me and the channel. Catch you guys on the next one. See ya.